Sup, Pat?
What's up, Christina?
Ready for day 2 competition? No, I'm just kidding.
Nice job yesterday.
Thanks. You as well. As always.
I didn't do shit yesterday.
You were there in spirit.
I was, yeah.
Mm.
Hi, Mason.
Hi, Faithy.
How you doing?
Dana, are you practicing in the mirror?
All right. Hey, can you guys hear me on this one? Because the other one's dead. Can you guys, is it actually clear? All right. Awesome. Fbla. Who knows what Fbla stands for?
Fbla. Business leaders.
$20 to the first person.
Future business leaders of America.
Right, Christina's not even paying attention. Ryan's not even showing face. Come on.
Future business leaders of the
Come on, guys.
agency. I'm paying attention.
Come on. All right, guys. So I think that light's probably better. All right, guys. Okay, so first thing we're going to go over, obviously, we have Javon hopping on. Olive. Javon, Marissa. Hey, you guys are going to start implementing this too, guys. So our team, we always go into every meeting five minutes early, right? Always 5 minutes, right? Shows respect of the leader, right? Respect of the person spending the time, right? It also, what's great about it is you're super organized, super ready to rock, right? 5 minutes early. All right, Marissa, Javon, let's make sure we start implementing this 5 minutes early. No matter what you're doing, always arrive 5 minutes early to the meeting, okay? Javon, you gonna show face? In the car, man.
I'm on my way to the office.
All right, man, you gotta be here in person, you know, or at a stationary spot. Can't be driving. You taking an Uber? You driving?
Yeah, I'm in an Uber. I don't have a car right now, so gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, before 9, man. All good. I'm not trying to call anybody out, but this is the future business leaders of America, right? We gotta take this shit serious, right? Remember, you wanna act like $1 million, that's how you make $1 million, right? So that's first lesson, right? Because trust me, we can act lax, we can chill, but nobody gets results when we're chilling, right? That's why we're behind right now, because we're missing on small things. The small things add up to big things, guys, right? So you better believe if I'm running this thing, I'm going to be on people, right? I'm going to be on everybody, all right? So because you deserve it. You deserve greatness. You deserve the best, right? Because you are the best, right? No one should be out there beating you in anything. Anything. ALP, hell no. No one should be beating you to the office. No one should be beating you in referrals. No one should be beating you in the way you dress. You should be the sharpest cat on the call, right? Your business card should be the best business card out there. Everything, the best, all right? Because you deserve the best. So I have to start on the call and say that, all right? I have to. You should be taking the best notes, the best. You should have the best G2 pen, right? Your notebook, fresh new sheet of paper, the best, the fucking best. You guys with me? All right. I got lit up by Natalie Linker and you know, Freddie Hedaya, you know, and some of these people from home office. You know why? Because I thought we were doing good and we're behind. Talk about my man Freddie Hedaya makes like $1 million a year just in renewals. You know, and that's what separates the 1% of mentality versus the 99%. So remember, if you think you're working hard, someone out there is probably working harder. If you think you're working smart, someone out there is probably working smarter. If you think you're, you know, tired because you only got 5 hours of sleep, I promise you someone got 4. If you think someone's sacrificing and struggling, I promise you someone out there is sacrificing and struggling more. Some people come in with this horrible moping attitude. You would have thought someone passed away in their family and really they just went 0 for 3. It's not the end of the world, man. All right. But we need to fix it and correct it. So, all right, guys. Well, I got some fire I'm going to go over here in a moment with you. So we got law number 17 today. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Law number 17. All right, perfect. So I'm going to share the screen. Let's take some good notes. We'll get some feedback on one. You want to take notes, right? The second thing is you want to know and how you can implement it to the business. So when you guys, after we go over this, guys, after we go over the law, I want you to, you know, give me some feedback and then how you can apply it to the business, right? That's the most important thing, how we can apply it to the business, guys. All right, so I'm going to share the screen. Let's take some good notes and let me make sure you guys can hear it too, guys. All right.
The law of priorities. The law of priorities says that leaders understand that activity is not necessarily
Can you guys hear
accomplished.
that virtually?
So let's talk about that for a moment.
All right, cool.
Activity is not necessarily accomplishment. Some of these laws I do better on than others, and there are some laws that I excel more than others. I want to just say that probably of the 21 laws, this is my best law. I really do understand the law of priorities. And so let me give you a little bit of background. I'm working on a business degree in Indiana back in 1971, 72 in college. And I read in a textbook about the Pareto principle. A guy named Alfredo Pareto. It was the first time that I ever was introduced to what is known sometimes as the 80-20 principle. The first time that I've ever was introduced to it, and basically Pareto taught in that one paragraph in that book about priorities. And I remember reading that paragraph and saying to myself, this is very important to me. I need to learn priorities the way Pareto taught them. And so I became a student of Pareto, I became a student of priorities, and that was, my goodness, that was well over 30 years ago. And I can tell you that when people look at what little things that I've been able to accomplish, and they come and say, how can you accomplish so much? I can always tell them with great integrity, this law right here, the law of priorities, I have worked on and I have excelled in. So let's look at your notes, because this is a terrific law to teach. I've already got a diagram for you, so let's just look at the diagram for a second. On the left-hand column is priorities. And by the way, since I'm doing some teaching on this, I want you to put a slice there, and I want you to also put the word people. Because I'm going to teach you priorities, but I'm also going to teach you how to prioritize your people in about 5 minutes. So, but for now, the left-hand column is priorities, and the right-hand column is production, and it pretty well explains itself. Here's what Pareto says. Pareto says that if you have 10 things to do, and you prioritize those 10 things correctly, if you only do 2 of them, but you do the top 2, you're going to get an 80% return on everything you need in your life. It's very obvious. You do 2 things, you go to the production side, 80% return. That's huge. Pareto goes on and says, let's say instead of doing the top 2 things, you do the bottom 8. You ignore the top 2. The most important things you ignore, and you do the bottom 8. Here's what Pareto says. If you do the bottom 8, if you go to the production side, you can see you're only going to have a 20% return. That's why it's sometimes called the 80-20 principle or the 20-80 principle. It's really talking about how to prioritize your life. And Pareto says if you prioritize your life correctly, if you do just the 2 things out of 10 that you need to do, the most important 2, 80% of everything you want in your business, I can tell you this works in your family. If you prioritize your family time right, 80% of everything you need in your family, it's going to happen if you understand how to work the top 20%. What I have found is most people don't understand the 20-80 principle, and so therefore they don't put the time, energy, and effort in the top 20%, so therefore they don't get the return. Now, this is a great principle, but there are 3 questions, priority questions, that you need to ask yourself, that I need to ask myself, that helps me to establish this top 20%. Question number 1, requirement. I've got to ask myself, what is required of me? In other words, I've got to look at my job. I've got to look at my company, my organization, the one that I work for. There are certain job descriptions. There are certain requirements of the job. And I've got to basically say, okay, what do I have to do? Because whatever I have to do, I have to do it. If I don't do those, I'm fired. So it's got to be a priority. True? So I've got to ask what's required of me. The second word is return. I've got to look at all the things I do, and I have to ask myself this question, what gives me the greatest return? The third word is reward. I have to ask myself the question, what gives me the greatest reward? Now, those 3 questions I have found to be huge in understanding the 20-80 principle. But Alfredo Pareto says that if you prioritize your life correctly and you do the top 20%, you get an 80% return. And on that top 20%, I have to have those 3 R's. What's required of me, what gives me the highest return, and what gives me the greatest reward. See, I've got to ask the requirement question because if I don't do that, well, then I'm out of a job. I've got to ask the return job question because if I don't do that well, I'm not going to produce. And I've got to ask the reward job because if I don't like what I'm doing and I continually do it, it's only a matter of time till I'll quit. Requirement, return, reward. Let me illustrate it. I only have 4 things that I have to do. In fact, when I tell people that I only have 4 priorities, they look at me and they just kind of look at me and say, what do you mean you only do 4 things? What I mean is I only do 4 things. They say, well, no, I mean, don't you do other things? No, read my lips. Now, the reason I only do 4 things is a lot of reasons. One is I understand priorities. Number 2 is I'm kind of worthless in most things in life. It's just a gift, so it's not yours, so don't worry about it. Okay. But worthless I am. But the 4 things I do very well. And my whole team understands this. And they do everything around me so that I can stay focused on these 4 areas because these 4 areas bring a huge return to me and to my companies that I have. So let me give you the 4 things. I'm only giving you these 4, not because these are going to be your 4, because they're not going to be. But you're going to have to go through the process, which literally took me months to go through, until you can settle in what your strengths are, what you need to be spending your time with. My 4 priorities, very simple. Number 1 is leadership. I lead well, so I spend a lot of time leading. It's a gift, and I know it. Number 2 is communication. I do it almost every day. I speak places, I lecture, I teach. I do a lot of communication. Why? Because it's a strength. The 3rd is create or /write. I spend a lot of time creative thinking. I spend a lot of time in writing. Again, why? Because it's a strength of mine. I love to write books so that I can add value to people that I'll probably never meet. And the 4th area is in networking or relationships. Now, those are the 4 things I do. I either lead, communicate, create, or relate with other people. Those are the 4 things. I don't do anything else. You say, John, why don't you do anything else? Because I'm not any good at anything else. You've got to play to your strengths, not to your weaknesses. It's very important for you to understand. Listen to me carefully. People don't pay for average. They haven't paid for average in your life. They're not going to pay for average in my life. People don't pay for average. So quit trying to be average. Find out what you do well. Stay to your strengths, because that's the ace. That's what's going to bring you home. Now, these 4 areas, these are the 4 areas I stay in. I don't do anything else. Now, I have to have a lot of things done, so I have players around me that they complete me, and they do things for me that are huge on the team, that are vitally important. Now, I'm not saying these are the only 4 important things. I'm just saying, for me, these are the 4 things that I do, and these are my 4 top priorities. These give me the greatest return. These give me the greatest reward. You see, what Pareto is teaching you and me are the following lessons. He's teaching us, first of all, it's not how hard you work, it's how smart you work. He's teaching us that it's not how much time you put in the job, it's how you prioritize the job to be effective in it. He's teaching us things such as organize or agonize. In other words, get your act together and get organized, or you're going to always be behind the 8 ball and you're going to be agonizing because you're trying to always catch up. He's saying things such as choose or lose. Either you choose your priorities or you'll lose your priorities to somebody else that will choose them for you. The question is not will your calendar be full. The question is who will fill your calendar. He's saying things like evaluate or stalemate. Evaluate your priorities on a consistent base, or if you don't, you're going to plateau, you're going to stalemate before long. Now, before I close this incredible law of priorities, let's go back to the diagram one more time. I want you, instead of looking at priorities on the left-hand column, I want you to look at people. I wish I had 30 minutes to teach this part of the lesson. I'll try to do it in 30 seconds. If you have 10 people in your organization, or let's say you have 100 and each number represents 10, here's what Pareto says. If you have 100 people in your organization, if you prioritize them according to effectiveness in your company, 20 of those 100 people would be giving you an 80% return on everything you need in your organization. And the other 80 would be giving you a 20% return. And what Pareto would be saying to you and me as leaders is, you better prioritize your people. And what he would be saying is, once you prioritize them according to effectiveness, here's what Pareto would say is, he would say, spend 80% of your time with the top 20% of your people, because that's where the return is. Let me tell you what our biggest mistake is as leaders. I see it happening all the time. Instead of spending 80% of our time with our top 20%, do you know who we spend 80% of our time with? The bottom 20%. Because they've got questions and they want help and they've got an owie and oh, it's tough. We say, well, the top 20%, they don't need my time. The bottom 20%, they need your time. Listen. You've got to decide whether you're going to be a counselor or an equipper. If you're a counselor, you're going to work with the bottom 20%. If you're an equipper, you're going to work with the top 20%. If you're a counselor, you're going to work on the weaknesses of people. If you're an equipper, you're going to work on the strengths of people. And I'll discuss that in another law coming up. Well, the law of priorities is absolutely huge. Basically, Pareto says, get your act together. Prioritize your life, prioritize your people, prioritize your time, and give 80% of the time to the top 20%, and you'll get a huge return.
Is it? That's it. All right. Oh.
If you want to make a positive impact in this world, one thing will definitely help, and that is leadership ability. In this book, John's
There it is. Everybody should have eight. All right. Perfect, guys. That was fire. All right. So what are some, I want to hear some feedback for sure. What are some things that we took? What are some things that we took right in the beginning, especially? What are some things that we took, guys?
You want me to start it off?
Say it again.
You want me to start it off?
Yeah, let's do it.
I like that people don't pay for average. So stop being average. So how I kind of took that into implementing that into our business is maybe instead of starting call night on Monday 4 to 9, maybe get in an hour earlier to get calls from 3 to 9. Or maybe instead of waiting to do all of your folders on one day and being all crazy out of organization, do it twice a week.
Yeah. Great call. Love it. Good. Who else?
I'll go.
Can you hear?
Oh, no, you go, Faith.
Okay, you go after. So I liked how he said, like, prioritize your top 2 tasks, like the most important things, and you'll get the most return. Because I feel like sometimes, at least for me, if I have 10 things to do, I might make sense of doing the easy, less important tasks first because they don't take as long, but I'm not getting as much of a return out of it. So I took a lot of value in that because I find myself doing that. I'm like, okay, I'll do the little stuff first. It doesn't take me long, but then, the big stuff is left for the end. And so, reversing that. So then you get the big stuff out of the way and then you can go move on to the little stuff, which, at that point you'll be on a roll and you can get it done. And that applies to any and everything in this business like Mason, folders, appointments, how you prioritize which sit you're going to get to, which person is, better than the other one. I know a lot of us do that sometimes. Oh, who do I sit with? So I like that a lot.
Yeah. How true is what Faith just said? How true is that? You got 10 things to do and you're like, let me get the easy stuff knocked out real quick because it makes you feel good. Let me knock out a couple little things real quick. But then what ends up happening, just like what Faith said, is we typically don't even end up getting to the big things, right? So you got to prioritize the big things first, right? Good. Do you remember, so the 20-80 rule, right? Who can explain the 20-80 rule? 28.
I can. He was saying that if you have 10 things to do, wait, is that what you're talking about? The 80-20 rule?
Yeah, so 80-20. What if you can explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so when you're dealing with your people, spend 80% of the time, 80% of your time with the top 20%. And I know it seems kind of backwards because I know if I see somebody struggling, I'm going to want to help them the most.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to growing your business, I don't know, I feel like it's kind of like it's sink or swim, and you can't really put all of your energy into one person if they're, really struggling. Maybe they're just not a great fit, So spending 80% of the time that's going to take the whole team to the top is it's a lot more better use of your time than spending most of your time with the people that are just kind of like, I don't want to say dragging you down, but not necessarily helping the whole organization. And then it's the same thing with doing with Faith just said, do the top 2 things. That's going to give you the most return instead of doing the little stuff first, which I do that a lot. I didn't realize I did that until I actually saw that explained. So that was huge.
Spot on, Marissa. Yeah. So you're going to find, okay, and it's funny because the notes I'm going to go over go hand in hand with this law, and it was just a coincidence. It just so happened to be. So he mentioned the 3 R's, right? He mentioned required, return, reward. So when you're prioritizing, you need to figure out what's required of me what's going to give me the highest return and the highest reward. And what we found out, dude, it's so vitally important to realize this. You're going to get 80% of your production from your top 20%. So that's why it's so vitally important to spend 80% of your time with your top 20%, because that's who you're able to get the most out of, right? And when it comes to business, you know, Marissa, you said like a cutthroat, or not a cutthroat, but it's kind of just like a sink or swim type of thing. You know, you can't spend all your time with somebody that just isn't getting it. That just isn't getting it. You can't, you don't have that much time, guys. You're in leadership now. You got to write business, right? You got to recruit. You got to, you know, make sure everything's aligned. You got to do 27,000 different things. Make sure folders are out, right? You got to make sure mods are done, bulletins. You don't have all this time to be spending 80% with somebody that doesn't want to come to play. Now, there's some times where you'll spend time with some people that you feel have a lot of potential because they have a lot of heart. Like with Ashley, you know, she went over 30. I could have spent 0 time with her, gave up on her. And that's where that fine line comes in, because people are like, well, how do you know when to not spend time with certain people? Here's what I always say is if they're working their ass off and they have a great attitude, great effort, coachability, they got attitude, effort, and coachability, but they're not getting the results yet, give them all your time. Give them most of your time. But for somebody that's not trying, that's not giving you effort, not reciprocating what you're pouring into them, dude, I'm sorry, you got to go to the next person, right? Usually within 90 days, you can figure this out. Then there was 4 areas, right, that he had mentioned. 4 areas. And this was for him, man. These don't have to be your 4 areas, but the areas were what? What was the first one? Leadership. Why? Because he's really good at leadership. He said he has a gift, right? Second thing was what? Communication. He's got to teach. He's got to lecture, right? What was number 3?
Creative, right?
Creating, writing. Kind of made me think of the scripts, creating and writing. The 4th thing was what? Networking, relationships. Relationships are huge in the business. So think about what your 4 is going to be. You have to play off of your strengths, though. Whatever your strengths are, right? Whatever you feel like, if your strength is recruiting, you can't just neglect the writing of business, but use that strength of recruiting. Use that. Your strength is writing business. Sometimes we just need you to go write business, right? People don't pay for average. Like what Mason said, people don't pay for average. So you got to find what you're excellent at. What else? Anything else? Maybe like one more thing that you guys thought like toward the end that he mentioned?
Yeah, I got one. I really thought that whenever he said like, I didn't really hear who he was talking about when he was mentioning this person, but he said that they would say organize or agonize or choose or lose. And like, I feel like stuff like that, like resonates with me a lot more because it's just like straight to the point, like sink or swim, cutthroat, like that type of thing. And like, I feel like it's been like that for me. Like I've been realizing like if I don't organize certain things, then I'm going to agonize off of other things. And if I choose to do like, for instance, the 80% of things that's not going to give me that reward that I really want to get, then I'm going to lose, you know, if I don't choose to do those top things. So I definitely needed to hear that today for sure.
Yeah, huge. So it's all law of prioritization. Law of prioritizing. That's all it is, right? Great job on adding that. Great job. Okay. So, all right, guys, I'll go into my notes. 2 things, okay? And then 7 tips real quick. Okay. It's easy to be fair, but it's hard to appear to be fair, right? People always think based on where they're at that they're being treated unfair, right? So So the way that you appear to be fair and by being fair is by communicating with your team up front on what the expectation is and what the reward will be after those expectations are met. Another thing that's relevant to what we're saying, it's not enough to just be good enough to win. The best teams learn how to be hard to beat versus just good enough to win, right? The difference between just being hard to beat is you got to be able to not be able to beat yourself. You're not turning the ball over, right? Your team can't lose. So in your business and situations like this, you got to make it hard to get pushback because you covered everything so freaking well you can't be beat, right? So if I'm saying to my team, you know, we're number one. We're going to start bottling up all the top people. And the way we're going to double up all these people is now we're going to go for the throat, right? You just can't get beat. You need to be so practiced, right, that you just can't get beat. That's when you start to create a winning culture. That's when you start to win games and you can't get beat. I feel like our team needs to get to that level. All right, but it's going to take prioritizing your top people. All right, so that's real quick. Now I got 7 things, okay? 7 quick tips real quick. First thing is there's no growth in your comfort zone. There is no growth in your comfort zone. Okay? You should be able to apply this regardless. There's no growth in your comfort zone. So your mind is programmed. If you're pushing, right? If you watch David Goggins, Navy SEAL guy, right? He says when you push yourself, when you start to tell yourself you're tired, you're actually only like 40%. You have like that much more left, right? So your body is programmed to get you back in your comfort zone. Think about something that you've accomplished that's been great. This never was in their comfort zone. Whether it's a D student going to an A student, whether it's a person learning another language, whether it's someone having kids, a relationship, adversity, there is no growth in your comfort zone. But people that love you, that care about you, they want you in your comfort zone. The other thing is, don't make somebody extraordinary, like superhuman, I feel like we do, to not be able to work like that. Like, I feel like people, they start thinking like, wow, Ashley, I can never be like Ashley because she's just so superhuman. Like, dude, there's nothing special about Ashley, nothing special about me, nothing special about Christina. It's just that winged rescue schedule, that 99, that 9 to 9, right? So people try to like put people in categories like they're special so they don't have to match up to that work ethic. That was number 2, by the way. Number 3, looking backwards hurts your neck. Looking backwards hurts your neck. Stop looking back at the shit that we couldn't get done, right? Or what people have said. People always have something to say. Don't worry about what other people are saying about you or what you've done. Like, have you ever seen someone that's constantly hating on someone that they're doing better than? It's very rare. It's very rare to find a hater that's doing better than you. Because they don't have, the people that are getting the job done don't have time to hate on other people. So don't mix it up. I mean, there's some people that just need to give you some constructive criticism. That's not hating. How do you decipher the two? Is it coming from a good place? from a person that cares about you, that's just trying to give you advice. Like sometimes Tommy's really hard on Mason, right? He's not hating on Mason, right? He's just trying to fire him up. All right. Number 4, think long term. Anything that's great, you have to sow into and reap the rewards down the road. All right. You have to look at things down the road. Delayed gratification. Sacrifice creates opportunity. Maybe not immediately, but eventually. But the thing is, guys, it's always good to hear this stuff, but people don't want to hear it sometimes. And some people make long-term decisions based upon short-term feelings. I don't like the way I feel right now, so I'm gonna quit tonight. I'm gonna stop calling. Right? So you have to think about, how does this affect me business-wise, family-wise, sports-wise, whatever you want to look at this. How does this affect me if I just stay in the pocket, take the hit, and deliver under pressure? Right? If I just stay in the pocket, how does this affect your family 5 years from now? If you just stay in the freaking pocket and make it happen, how is that going to affect your family, your future family, the people around you, generations to come for your team? How many are you willing to stay in the pocket and take a hit for your mom? How many people are staying in the pocket for your future, for your children, for your haters, for someone that's depending on you, somebody watching you? Because that's what it's going to take. Sacrifice. Tom Brady, willing to sacrifice to give his team an opportunity to think about long term. Right? Let me imagine Tom Brady just saying, let me just not be the GOAT. Let me just take off because I'm in my feelings. You got to think long term. Next one. Allow your coach to coach you. Allow your coach to coach your ass up. And if they're not, you better tell them that freaking, dude, you should be more upset that they don't challenge you to greatness. Don't get upset that they're keeping it real with you. You better get coachable if you want to take your life to the next level. Next thing, one of the last things, last 2, patience. Patience. People that have high levels of success, it's hard for them to balance the humility and the patience. Those are the 2 things, very hard. There's no it takes time. You got to value the process over the prize because it's going to take time. There's no way around it. And the last one, most important thing. Everybody wants the blessing. Nobody wants the burden. All right? Blessings and burdens come together. Always. That's what I'm talking about. Everybody wants the blessings, but nobody wants to get burnt. Everybody wants the blessings, but no one wants to go through some hell. That's the message right there. That shit fires me up. Everybody wants the blessings. They want the rewards, but nobody wants to get burned a little bit. All right? You got to be willing to go through the bullshit, the discomfort, the fucking shit that we don't want to go through, dude. I don't see any reason why people aren't showing up at 7 a.m. at the office practicing. You want the reward, you want the blessing, but you don't want to burn a little bit. What's up with that? If you think you're working hard, I promise you, you can work harder. I promise you. Everybody wants to make 6 figures. Everybody wants to make $1 million. Everybody wants to have a big ass team. Then why aren't you up here at 7 a.m. organizing this shit with your people? Why aren't you organizing this? Why aren't you at the malls recruiting 25 people? Why aren't you taking every second of every day, of every hour, of every minute, of every freaking week, and maxing out? Why aren't you on social media throwing out 20 DMs a day? 100. I say 20, you should be like, Gio, that's an insult. I'll do fucking 100 in a day. Some people have been here for a year and haven't recruited one person. Are you selfish? You just don't want to give anybody else the opportunity? What is it? You're scared? Last time I checked, Wayne Gretzky said, you miss all the shots you don't take. You miss all the shots you don't take. You got to take them. You got to take them. Typically, when the reward is really, really high, the sacrifice and the dedication is going to be really high as well. So your goals have to align with your work ethic, right? Your goals have to align with your work ethic. So figure out, this is everybody's homework assignment. You got to figure out what your goal is. Vision, think big. The only difference between people that perish and people that get the job done is a vision. So you got to have a vision. A vision, a goal, create one, and then you got to be willing to be able to do the work to be able to achieve your goal. They have to align. We can't say we want to make $1 million. We want to have the biggest team, biggest, baddest team. I want to be the #1 GA team. I want to be the #1 SA team. I want to be the top agent. But you aren't willing to do what is required to be able to get the job done. I know you guys have what it is, what it takes. And that's why I'm speaking to you. If I felt like this was a waste of time, remember, 80% of your time goes into your top 20% of your people. Who do you think the top 20% is? That's fucking you guys. You're the top 20%. That's why this time is used best. This is the best usage of my time all day, spending it with you guys. Because you guys are the difference makers in this whole agency. You are the foundational points and the foundational people of this organization. If you guys sway to the right, guess what? The whole ship's going this way. If you guys sway to the left, it's going to the left. That's why we all got to be on the same wavelength. But then when adversity hits you, you got to be that rock in the middle of the ocean. You ever see that rock in the middle of the ocean? Waves try to kick it this way and it stays. Waves try to kick it this way and it stays, right? We got to be moving and flowing as a team, but you also, when adversity hits you, you got to be that fucking rock that doesn't move. All right? So let's make sure we utilize what we got from John Maxwell with the prioritizing. All right? Let's make sure we utilize what I had mentioned, okay? And let's just fucking get it, dude. I'm telling you, you guys are the best, and you guys aren't getting nearly half. It's just like what David Goggins said. You think you're at max capacity and your body's at 40% because your body tells you that you're at max capacity. Just like what Goggins said. A lot of us think that we're at max capacity. Oh, I need more sleep. I need more energy, so I'm going to go grab a coffee. Like, you think you're tired, but you haven't even went to exhaustion. You haven't even come close. I guarantee you. You haven't even fucking come close, dude. David Goggins said he was running in the desert and he fucking shit himself and pissed himself and he's fucking like broken shins, splints, and just trying to beat the record. How many pull-ups did that guy do? 1,000 or something like that. One day he holds a record. How many?
4,700 something.
He did 4,000. Oh God, he did 4,000 pull-ups. You don't think his mental was telling him to fucking stop? His mental the whole time was probably fucking with him, telling him to stop, telling him he can't do it. You just gotta say, fuck you, mental. I'm gonna do it regardless of what you're trying to tell me. Right? That's why when you're on the treadmill, your body, right, makes you, it's like a mechanism, man. It tries to tell you to save and reserve because it's trying to keep you going. But you ever like run on the treadmill and you're like, oh, I gotta stop. And then you're just like, dude, fuck this. And you just keep going. And then you're like, you feel like a machine. You're like, and dude, I can't even imagine David Goggins way more. But I'm telling you, your mental is going to try and play tricks on you. It's always trying to play tricks on your brain. You got to fucking take that shit out, throw it to the curb, and realize and go back and revisit your vision and your goals too. Keep revisiting that. Make it happen. Let me know if you guys need anything. I appreciate your time. Appreciate your efforts. Let's make it fucking happen. Let's have a big ass week. And let's go back and have a social with you guys. Let's go. Come on.
Thanks, Joe.
Absolutely, bro. Come on.
Appreciate you, bro.
Sir, let's do it. Let's go. Come on.
D, can I ask you something real quick?
Yes, sir.
Bro, whenever, is there a way that I can, when I record my Zoom recording, that they won't know I'm recording? Because I did a sit yesterday and I tried getting out of the Zoom to open up my presentation slides and it wouldn't let me because I think I had to have it open already because it only lets you share your screen when you're recording. But then it told her like recording stopped and I was like, I acted like I didn't even know because I didn't, you know what I mean? Some people might not like that, especially if we're going to do it their bank account or.
Yeah. I usually cut it off at the bank account. You know, like if I'm recording, right when I get to the bank info is when I'll kind of cut it off.
Right, because they know when you're recording, obviously.
Yeah, I usually don't even tell them because they don't even see it half the time. But I mean, it does say recording right in the top corner. They can probably see it, you know. Okay,
Right.
Appreciate that for sure. Yes, sir. Come on, man.
Cool. All right, so then you just cut it at the bank account. They'll probably just see that.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, do that. And then if you're feeling weary about it, people keep catching you, just say, hey, I'm actually, hey, just so you guys know, this is, recorded for quality assurance. You ever hear that?
Yeah.
You know, we hear that all the time. So, hey, we're actually recording this for quality assurance. So obviously, Larry, did you say that? Hey, as you can see, we're actually, recording this for quality assurance. So just want to make sure you guys know. Now, how's everything going today? You can literally just say it real quick and then go right back into it.
Cool.
You know what I mean?
All right, brother. Appreciate it. And, that was awesome.
For sure, dog.
Especially you saying, like, about the comfortability. You can't grow with in your comfort zone because I'll tell you right now, I'm not comfortable, as you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So.
This was for you, man. A lot of stuff was thought about you and a lot of people on the team. You know, it's a lot of stuff I was just thinking about, So let's get it, man. You're blessed. You got that right in your corner. See, it says blessed. Because you are blessed. We got it easy, man, compared to what it was. And it was good back then. And now it's even better. So let's max out, man. Let's make it happen. And let me know if you need something, bro.
All right, brother. Appreciate it.
All right, you the man. I'll talk to you in a little bit.
Yep.